The lame duck Congress is back in session here in Washington, and of course in January, the newly elected Congress will be sworn in and take its place at the Capitol. From the perspective of the American public, what should Congress be working on? Well, we get a good clue from that when we look at our monthly update on the most important problem facing the country. That's a question we've been asking Americans going all the way back to the 30s, the decade of the Depression. Here's the top 5 things that Americans say are bothering them right now, and presumably things Congress should be working on. Number 1, jobs and unemployment. This is the first time since April that jobs has taken the first place on this list in lieu of the economy in general. Actually, when we look back at the data, the percent of Americans who say jobs is the top problem facing the country is as high as we have seen it at any point since the Reagan administration back in 1983. So clearly, jobs, unemployment, a major priority from the perspective of the American public. What's second? The economy in general. That's a global term that a lot of Americans use when they talk about problems, but clearly the kind of wrapped up with the same thing that's involved with unemployment and jobs. What's 3? Health care. A lot of talk on the part of Republicans about repealing some or all of the Obamacare health care plan that was voted into law last March. This doesn't speak to that specifically, but nevertheless it tells us that a lot of Americans are still concerned about health care in general. What's the 4th on the list? Well, it is the government itself. Dissatisfaction with the way things are working, dissatisfaction with the way Congress is working. When we look at the data, we find a lot of that is disgust on the part of the American public that people can't get along, the need for more bipartisanship, as it were, on the part of Congress here in Washington. Finally, the 5th thing on the list is the federal budget deficit. A lot of Americans are saying that that's a big problem, and of course, a lot of concern about government spending and a recently released report from the Deficit Commission trying to figure out what to do about it. There you have it, top 5 priorities for Congress from the perspective of the American public. I'm Dr. Frank Newport, Gallup's Editor-in-Chief.